Okay. We may be live. We may not be live. I don't look like I'm alive, but that was kind of the intended. Okay. Take two. Okay. Okay. I think I'm not sure. Maybe we're here, maybe we're not. Let's try this again. I've got Facebook messages popping up.
Yeah, I think we're back on.
Are we back on?
It looks like, because I have a live just now, which is a second post from 4 minutes ago.
Oh, there we are. Yeah. Okay. Wow, guys. Sorry about all of this. Okay. Okay.
Okay. In stereo. Okay.
Okay, we got 5 people that are hearty souls that came. I don't know if Facebook was trying to censor my really bad joke or not. Maybe that's what it was. About my Halloween costume. But you all get to hear it again because I'm just that way. I'm a zombie baseball fan because the Dodgers are killing me. Poor attempted humor. I'm sorry. We gotta listen to this for a minute.
You got your lights weren't flickering. That'd be cool.
You know, it's pretty amazing. These batteries held in all year.
Pretty good.
Dog didn't like it this morning. That was funny.
Yeah,
okay, well, this...
It's been quite the morning with the wind. I was taking a shower and my power went out, so that was fun. But then it came back.
You know, it's one of those days. We are having a day here in Orange County. Thank you, Janet. Yes, I am a nerd. I know it's really kind of sad. But yeah, Lori's had power outages. I've got big smoke clouds headed my way. Go Dodgers. That's right, man. I don't know if I can take any more of this Dodgers stuff. You talk about a series. If you're a baseball fan out there, you know what I'm talking about, because this is going to kill you. These games have been so close and such nail biters. And it's, yes, Susie understands. Susie understands. This has been tough.
So for those of us who haven't been following,
they're going to be playing Game 5 tomorrow. Is it 5? No, maybe it was 5. I've lost track. All I know is that it should have been wrapped up yesterday because they blew it the game before yesterday's game when they really should have had it. They should have had the game. They kind of collapsed in the 9th inning. It was just horrible to watch. And last night, all you could think about was, oh my God, you just need 3 outs. Just get through the bottom of the 9th and don't do what you did the night before. And they actually pulled it off. So they're up 3-2. So game six will be Tuesday night because they can't, of course, have it because it's Monday Night Football. You know, they say they give them a day off, but we know it's like last day off was the debate. Today's Monday Night Football. So we've got one day to, I guess, go stock up on alcohol, get some Xanax, do something. It's it's bad. It's bad. 6 o'clock Tuesday, says Susie. Okay. So we're done with being the sports nerds. Let's get on to being nerdy realtors. So what's new, Lori?
Yeah. So the only thing new is actually pretty big news. The Department of Real Estate's finally taking a position on agents not complying with COVID-19 regulations for showings. And so they've issued a letter, and according to the notification I got from CAR, this letter was issued on October 9th, although I can't find it. I can't find it on the DRE's website or in their the DRE has a Facebook page. I didn't see the letter on CAR's website either. I saw like a cut and paste, so I don't even know if it's the whole letter, but essentially the Department of Real Estate Enforcement Division is now taking a position that yes, consumers are a priority, and if they receive complaints for non-compliance, they will investigate. And so I did hear from one broker who works for a brokerage that is throughout the state, throughout the country, but we're specifically talking about California, that they were notified via letter that one of their agents had been reported for non-compliance. This is a very compliant broker, so I have no doubt that the company issued a statement, has been issuing education and statements all along. I have no doubt about that. But we just know it happens. Agents will decide on their own, because they're independent contractors, that they're not going to comply with the broker's policies. And in this case, the enforcement, what's the word? Sometimes I just completely lose my train of thought. The guidance.
Me too much.
Sometimes. The guidance issued in the executive order. I knew it started with an E. I was like searching for letters, words that started with E. So the enforcement letter from the governor. And so, this broker did share with other brokers that, they received the letter, and the Department of Real Estate's first plan of resolution is education. And so the agent has been notified, the brokerage has been notified. The Department of Real Estate asks, how can they be helpful in education to the broker and to the agents? So, if an agent, in a case like this, if an agent is found to violate their company's policy, the company can take action and potentially notify the Department of Real Estate that, yeah, this agent acted rogue. They acted out of our policy, and, do what you need to do. I don't know what that company will do, so I'm not trying to speculate that that's what they will do, but first it's education, and we've been focused on education here on this platform of, this is what you do, this is the latest, these are the changes, here's what you do. And yet I've shown property the last 2 weekends, and I'll tell you, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the protocols being handled. So me as the showing agent, I'm providing supplies to my clients. I'm making sure that they don't touch anything. But in both instances, we only saw one property each weekend. But in both cases, we walked in just as another party was walking out from their appointment. There was no cleaning. There was no evidence of any cleaning supplies. And so, I'm a big believer, if the listing agent is on site, it's absolutely that listing agent's responsibility to do the cleaning. Now, if I'm showing up to an appointment and there's no one else there, then I'm responsible. I bring my wipes, and anything we may touch, I'll be prepared to wipe down. But in both these instances, the listing agents were there. And so that's a perfect example of what somebody could file a complaint on. I would much rather reach out to the broker and let them know, hey, this was my experience. I'm a broker and I did showings, and this was my experience. And just a reminder, here's the guidance. The Department of Real Estate has a method for you to report it. And, I do think that broker to broker, we should try to resolve these types of things without getting the Department of Real Estate involved. Nobody wants that. We don't want that on our competitors either, because the reality is, if they've got the listings, and we've got the buyers, we need to be able to see their showings too.
Exactly.
They do have a phone number. They do have an online complaint system, but that online system is really designed if you're having a transactional issue. They ask a ton of details about the transaction. And in a case like this, you're trying to report something that's not transaction related. So you're literally going to have to type in not applicable, on 90% of it. So they do have a telephone number. I don't know if it's a recorded message or if you talk to somebody, and who knows if you talk to someone how long the wait time is. But I'll post the information that CAR posted, the full 4 bullet points, and then everyone will have that information.
Yeah, I think that would be great, because, it's not getting any better out there. And I know a lot of people have, quarantine fatigue, pandemic fatigue, COVID fatigue, whatever you want to call it. But like, I was supposed to go to Colorado on Wednesday, and it's like, yeah, you know what? Not so much. I'm not going, because their numbers are going through the roof. And Thanksgiving coming and people are going to be traveling all over the place, kids coming home from their college dorms that they're sitting there taking online classes on. Don't even get me going on that because that makes no sense. But I'm sure, California, we've been really, really fortunate. Our numbers have been holding steady. We're seeing a little teeny weeny uptick, but nothing like other places in the country. But we got holidays coming, and we know what that means. Everybody just come and have a big COVID party at your house, even though, whatever it is. So I think that as realtors, we need to really be on our toes and not let our guard down, because it's getting lax out there. It's getting really lax out there. You experienced it this weekend, and people are just sick and tired of it, and that's not a good reason not to be doing it. And so if we want to get our freedom back, we're going to have to just follow the rules and buckle down a little bit. We do have a question here from Inez. Is it your brokerage policy or the DRE OSHA on whether agents can farm? And Inez, do you mean actually like door knocking and dropping things off on porches? I'm assuming that's what you mean. Has there been any changes, Lori, that you've heard?
No, there's been no changes, and that's a tough one, because the guidance does not specifically address this. And so it's one of those situations where, we look to the guidance to say what specifically is allowed and what specifically is not allowed. And there are many activities that we do in our business that are not specifically addressed. And so CAR attorneys have taken the conservative position of what is the intent of the items that they've delineated in their guidance. And, there's some language that's really very helpful. I'm trying to see if I have it here, but it basically, you're not supposed to invite people from different households to engage with each other. And so if you're farming and if you're door knocking, you are now inviting yourself to engage with someone outside of your household. And so when you take the conservative approach and look at the logic and the intent of the guidance, then that would be out of compliance. But is it specifically addressed? Can you do door knocking? Yes or no? No. But logically you say, well, if you are inviting yourself to interact with someone from another household, that should be out of compliance. So then the part about, just dropping flyers, well, what if I just drop flyers? Well, again, we look to what it actually says. And what it says is you cannot have flyers at your listings. So if you can't have flyers at your own listings for people to take if they choose to, why would you want to invite yourself to leave paperwork for someone who didn't ask for it? So that's the logic behind why no, it should be out of compliance. Now, because it doesn't specifically say, we don't know how anyone would interpret that. So how would the DRE interpret that? We don't specifically know. We just know they want you to adhere to the guidance. And I would speculate that they would say, okay, well, logically speaking, if you can't have flyers at your own listing, why would you think it's okay to drop flyers off? Well, then people have argued, well, what about mail? I don't invite all of these postcards I get for every which proposition that's on the ballot, and now it's my obligation to deal with my mail when I go to my mailbox, and, who knows how many people have touched it. Well, we can't do anything about the mail system. So if you wanted to mail, the post office is accepting it, they're delivering it. That's a choice you could make. And that, I believe, would be the safest way to farm right now. Is it right? Is it something that your peers and the residents in the neighborhood will appreciate? We don't know. And that's a choice you'd have to make personally, whether you want to do that or not. And maybe by this time, it definitely feels much safer to do mail today than it did 5 months ago.
Yeah, it's tough because, Inez, I feel you. You and I kind of do the same thing for our marketing, and it's been a switch. And You know, I've been going to mail now. The weird thing is like I got this huge stack of returned envelopes saying that the properties are vacant. And I'm like, they're not vacant. There's people in here. You know, I mean, literally, this, want to see what I got returned? I mean, this was ridiculous. I got this much returned, mail out of maybe about 1,200 pieces. But they were just like, you know, unable to deliver, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I know these people are living in these properties. I mean, it's, you know.
Is that like a yellow sticker from the post office?
Yeah. And then they ran my stuff through the machine and started ripping the address labels off. So a bunch of them came back saying improper address. And it's like, you ripped them off with your machine.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So hopefully that helps, Inez. I mean, so we don't have a company policy saying not to do it. I just happen to have agents who have not been doing it. That collectively we talk about it and we decide, you know, what makes sense. And, you know, we kind of look ahead in the next couple of weeks. How are things today? And does it seem reasonable to do some activities today and in the next 30 days than it did in the last 30 days? So we're trying to follow the guidance. We are following the guidance very strictly in the fact of no door knocking, no dropping, but mail, we've decided, you know, mail was safe at this point in time. And 6 months ago, we didn't think it was, so we weren't doing it then.
And it's been interesting because, you know, like we talk about the COVID scale, you know, where we, you know, lick the doorknobs versus the bubble wrap. And, you know, my tolerance is always, you know, I'm much on the higher end of the scale than Lori is. And you have no idea how relieved I am that I'm not going to Colorado. But
I'm not licking doorknobs, by the way, everybody.
she's not. No, I'd say Lori's kind of like a 5, you know. Yeah, 5's good. I'm still probably hovering around 6.5-ish. You know, I've come down from the 7.5 to a 6.5. I'll give myself that.
I like to be able to choose. I like to be able to make decisions that are appropriate for me.
Exactly. And so I want to say about a week ago, I ran into 2 situations where something was door dropped at my own house, and then something was left at one of my listings. And it was interesting because I always kind of go by the visceral reaction of how does this make you feel? And at my house, I'm like, how dare you leave something on my porch? And, you know, it was one of those, hi, homeowner, I have a buyer for your house. And it's like, really? You don't even know my name and you have a buyer for my house. That's pretty sweet. But I was just kind of like appalled at the fact that somebody left something on my porch. The other place I was kind of like, dude, that's pretty ballsy, you know, I mean, because they were just promotional flyers. You know, and I take that into account. If I'm feeling that way, how would somebody feel if I did that to them? You know, it kind of goes back to the golden rule. I mean, nothing makes me more upset than when I've got some dude, and I'm going to slam the solar industry right now. I got some dude who has the you-know-whats to come and ring my doorbell and then take a bunch of steps back from my door. Hi, I'm Stu from Solarama. And it's like, get off my porch. You know, and then, you know, it's kind of funny because my family, you know, they see me run to the door because I just want to go yell at the person. And
who would have the nerve to ring my doorbell?
Yeah, it's just like, you know, get real. I don't want you on my porch. Get off my porch. And so if I'm feeling that way, does somebody want me on their porch? I don't want people on my porch even on a wonderful, nobody's sick at all sunny spring day. Let alone during a global pandemic. So, you know, it's really kind of like, how do you feel about things, you know, and really the mail, I used to like be freaked out, you know, I was like, get the Lysol, the mail's here. You know, now it's like, who cares, you know, but it's still something about the invasive action of coming up to somebody's door, whether it's just to drop something off that I did not ask for, or to knock on my door If you don't have a bag full of groceries in your hand, I don't want you knocking at my door. You better have that bag full of groceries or a Costco rotisserie chicken. But, you know, that's kind of the way I'm taking it. Once we get word that somebody can touch a flyer at a property, then I think that would be when it's safe to go back and start doing the door drops. And believe me, I've got over 1,000 marketing pieces sitting in my garage that I ordered pre-pandemic. That it's like, and what am I going to do with this? Because, oh, these notepads, all these notepads that got returned, 70 cents a slam to mail. I can hardly wait till we get to go back to door dropping, but such is the situation we are in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So be on alert. You know, the Department of Real Estate is encouraging agents to report it because they're hearing about it. You know, they may or may not be out on their own looking. They definitely depend on people reporting things. And, you know, it's very possible that consumers could also report. So be on the lookout. It doesn't hurt to remind your agents again and again and again. You know, it's one of those things, you know, we tell our kids stuff, but we have to tell them over and over. And the same thing in our industry because of the nature of our business. People aren't always listening until they need to listen. And so I encourage you all to report it. Remind everybody, do a refresher that no, nothing's changed. So don't get slack in what you're doing.
Nothing's changed, and the DRE is going to be after you if you get reported. I think that that's probably the most important thing. Was before there was really no enforcement. It was kind of like water conserving fixtures. We all need to have these. Well, who's going to come do something if we don't, right? The water police. Well, water police never showed up, but it sounds like the COVID police are here.
Yeah.
So,
and again, you know, their first effort is going to be to educate. But if they discover that an agent or brokerage continues to operate outside of that guidance, then they will pursue citations and other disciplinary actions as appropriate, as deemed appropriate. Because remember, they're all about consumer protection. So if you are potentially harming the public, then that's something they're going to look at.
yeah. Now, Cher has a good comment in the comment stream here. She said, you know, it's still a no-no to go house to house or whatever, but a pop-by gift to people you know has been well received. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that that's completely appropriate. I have several broker clients that do that for their client gifts. Some of them notify them ahead of time. They just simply say, hey, I'm going to be dropping something off at your doorstep. Just wanted to give you a heads up. In all the cases, I have 3 different broker clients who have been doing that throughout the pandemic, not on a regular basis, but you know, once or twice each throughout the pandemic. And they just give them a quick text message heads up. And then, you know, when they get a response, oh, I'd love to chat with you for a little bit, you know, from the client, then they'll, you know, go back to their car and let them know, hey, I just dropped it off. You know, if you'd like to chat, you know, I can stick around and we can social distance. So I think that from a marketing perspective, that's a great way to stay in touch with your clients. And you already have a relationship with those people, you know, presumably you've done a transaction with them. And so you're friends, you know, you've built that relationship where you can do that. And as long as you're following, you know, appropriate social distancing guidance in general, I see no issue with that. And I think it's really smart.
Well, I have a whole bunch of little goodie bags that we put together for doing little pop buys, and I dropped one off at my friend slash client slash staging partner's house, and she's like, oh, I love this, but that ribbon's horrible. We have to go get you a new ribbon for your bags, because we all know how my friend Melina is. So I had substandard pop by gifts, so I have to up my game.
I mean, I've mailed out a few. I've gone to the post office, you know, packaged up stuff for a couple of my clients and mailed it out. And it was a surprise. And I know many people who any package they receive, they're quarantining the packages for 2 weeks or 10 days, and that's their prerogative. I did get one note from one of the people I mailed something to saying, hey, is there anything perishable in there? Because I'm planning on leaving it quarantined. No offense, but I'm like, none taken. No, there's nothing perishable. And honestly, I mean, even when I go visit my dad, he's 71. If I bring him anything, I mean, he's wiping it down, and I don't blame him. I think that people need to take the precautions that they feel are appropriate for them. And so, you could mail them something, you could drop it off. Just understand that their process and their needs may be different and beliefs may be different than yours. And just be respectful of that. And you shouldn't have any issues. People like getting stuff, because let's be honest, I mean, all we get in the mail today are bills and political postcards. That's it. There's nothing else. So when you can send something fun, then that's neat. It's always fun to receive something from somebody I actually know. Ooh, look, Lisa sent me something today.
Like, oh boy, there's life outside of these four walls. Yeah, I think that that's really important going into the holidays too. We can be respectful of everybody, no matter what their point is on the COVID scale. I think letting people know that you want to come by and drop something off, and letting them know that it'll be on their porch, or, if it's something perishable, let them know beforehand. But we still just need to be careful. And I think we're going to need to be careful for a few months, a few more months, hopefully. I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, what else are we talking about today?
Okay, so real quick, I posted the info in our nerdy group about the DRE, so you guys all have that. And then I wanted to do a plug for the webinar Wednesday, October 28th, 1:30 to 2:30, the buyer love letters. That's going to be hosted by CAR Legal. You don't want to miss that. In case you do miss it, though, they'll have it on their website within a day or two. It's usually a day or two where you can watch the replay. So I'm hitting post right now. And so that is there. So I encourage everybody to watch it. It's easy for us to just report back, well, here's what they said. But I think this is such an important topic that we all need to really hear it for ourselves. Listen to the specific questions that may come up and apply it to situations that you've encountered yourself. And then feel free to reach out to CAR Legal when you're just not sure. So I encourage everyone to listen to this. And with that, I'm going to ask that either before or even after you watch that webinar, if you can either put some comments in our page about the buyer love letters, or message me direct. I am on the NAR Risk Management Committee, and we're meeting in November. We have a November 10th meeting, but we're doing a working group on this Thursday. And so one of the items that they've asked us to report back on is buyer love letters. So I thought that was quite interesting, that not only are we talking about it in the state of California, but NAR is asking about it. And so their question, and I'll post this in a separate post, is, are they an issue in your area? How are you advising sellers and buyers? And are you seeing any fair housing claims or lawsuits? So I'll post that question, and then feel free to respond directly in that post, because I'd love to collect as much feedback as possible. And especially since we have agents from across the state in this group, the more info, the better. There are actually 5 of us from the state of California in this committee, so we'll all be getting feedback in our own way. But if you've got any thoughts, either put it in the post, or again, you can message me direct and share your situation, share your thoughts on it. I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's really important too. I got that down. It's a not miss for me, because I have 2 sides of it. I have my listing agent side, and I have my buyer's agent side. The listing agent side says, I don't want to see these. Don't even send them to me, because I don't want to see them. And from a buyer's side, I'm like, I prefer not to. But then my clients are like, I have to. All my friends and my family told me I have to write this letter, because that's the only way I'm going to get this house. And it's like, okay, so what do? It's kind of like, well, we have to present all offers to our sellers. If your buyer is demanding that you do this, what do you do? So
Yeah.
that's going to be what I'm looking for. I think next week, I would say next week's Monday morning coffee and compliance is going to be a don't miss. Number one, this thing's not going to be there and I should look normal again. Well, as normal as I can look. But two, we're going to have some really good content because we'll be breaking down what they discussed in the webinar. And also there's a couple of other things that are going to be discussed at NAR. Lori will have more information. I'm not a director this year, but Lori is, and this is gonna be some crazy meetings going down in November. And you guys are probably like, Lisa is such a nerd. She's the only person that's really excited about these crazy meetings. No, I am talking ramifications for all of the agents in the country that are realtors. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about that's going to be voted on at this meeting. So put down, do not miss next Monday because it's going to be super important. Any feedback you guys have, just like Lori asked, please give it to her. She's a voting member and she is a member from Orange County Realtors to be representing Orange County Realtors. And, this is what she needs to know. So she knows how to vote. I mean, she knows how to vote, but really wants your input.
Yes.
So
Technically, I know how to operate the voting system.
yeah, they have like these little buttons, see, but
yeah.
but really, it's really super, super important. If you see anybody, I think Rita Tayanaka put a couple of posts out, asking for input. We are fortunate enough to have 6 directors, since we are one of the largest associations in the country. And it's important to let your voices be heard. For you folks that are in different associations, if you know who your association NAR director is, or is Susie not a director, state director this year, but next year, right?
I don't remember.
Susie, if you're out there, put in the comments whether you're a director this year or not, because I know she's next year. I'm pretty sure she's going to be state director. But find out who your NAR director is and let them know your thoughts. If you don't know who it is, go ask your board and say, hey, I need to let these people know. I need to let these people know my thoughts, because this is some big stuff. And what's one of the other things we're going to be having on the agenda? I can't go as closed meeting. Isn't there like the clear cooperation?
Yeah, so the risk management committee is asking for feedback on the clear cooperation policy. So I'm going to do that as another separate post so we can keep those conversations separate. So I have all of the feedback where it needs to be. But the risk management committee wants to know how the implementation of the clear cooperation policy in our area is going. What issues are we seeing, if any? And then that should be a conversation at the NAR level as well, because it was 1 year ago that it was voted on to approve it to take effect in May. And now we've all been working with it since May. And so, I think that it's a good policy. I think we're now starting to discover some of the challenges with it. I'm not even sure if challenges is the right word, because now that I'm working with a couple of buyers who are trying desperately to find a property in today's market. We'll drive down a street and there's a sign and it's not in the MLS is coming soon, and that's the rule. And then the experience I had this weekend, what actually was last week, was a property came up that was coming soon. That is my daughter's dream home. It's her dream home, and it's not able to be shown for 2 weeks. And then, suddenly 2 days later, it was active and she found it by accident. And so, then the scramble to try to get a showing. And now, we're going to be up against multiple offers and the craziness that has brought out. I think that for me personally, to have that personal experience with it, is it working? Yeah, it's working. Is it better? Well, it's better in the sense of now agents are supposed to put things in a coming soon status instead of just a sign in the yard and try to get their own buyers and not let anyone else cooperate. But it's created I think, some other problems that maybe we didn't anticipate. And maybe it's pandemic related, maybe it's not. I mean, it's hard to speculate what this year would have been like if we didn't have the virus. Would it have been the same? Maybe. Would it have been better, worse? Who knows? I mean, honestly, who knows? So we'll be, I don't know, to the extent, I haven't gone through all of the packet of information yet for NAR to know to what extent we're talking about clear cooperation at the national level.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear what they have to say if all of the associations are doing or MLSs are doing coming soons. You know, I have mixed emotions about them for the same reason that you mentioned. You know, when you've got a buyer who is looking for something, and, you know, we got to remember they're on it, if not more so than we are. You know, they're like living with their phone in their hand, waiting for notifications for new properties to come up. And, you know, you're like, oh, I see the coming soon. It's not going to be available for another 2 weeks. So, yeah, we're not going to worry about it. Then all of a sudden, boom, it's active. Boom, they see it. Boom, you're like, oh my God, I wasn't counting on this. And it's, you know, I think that in a market with tight inventory, it really exacerbates the problem because everybody wants to see everything that comes on now. And when you have planned for, let's say, something going on November 7th, but it shows up October 28th and you weren't planning on looking at it, you know, it causes all kind of havoc from the buyer's side. But then from the seller's side, you know, you're kind of making your best guess when you think it's going to be available. And if you're all ready to go and you know, you put in, you know, 2 weeks lead time and you find out, oh, you know, guess what? We did everything in a week. Let's go ahead and go active. And you go active. How many people did you just piss off? You know, and you know, there's it would be interesting to see how it works in a different kind of a market. If we were a slower market, how would this be working? But I think in the super tight inventory market that we're in, it's can be a double-edged sword. I'm hearing about houses going from coming soon to pending, even though we're not supposed to be doing that. It's happening, and I can see why. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that one out.
Well, even some of the showing instructions, you know, because then I'm, you know, scouring the MLS yesterday for other properties and just, you know, doing a general search again. Forget what's coming up new. Let's just do the general search again. Look at everything in their criteria match. And I'm seeing mixed messages on the coming soons. It's, you know, coming soon, November 9th. Not available to show until November 9th. Contact me for showing instructions and submit your offers here. And that's all in the private remarks. So which is it? You know?
Exactly. You know,
are,
and I
are
think
we that lazy we can't update the showing instructions when we go live to say, here's how you set up your showings and submit your offers? Or are you enticing people to show it now? Because technically in a coming soon, we all know this. All of our nerds know this. You can't show it. Now, offers can be submitted. They can be submitted subject to inspection, but I'm not so sure everybody understands that because I saw it in multiple listings with that contradictory showing instructions or private remarks. So I know we're lazy. We don't want to have to think about, hey, when the status goes live, we have to update the wording, but come on.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of been a problem for a long time.
Yeah.
It's only worse.
Problem.
It's only worse now. And Inez had a question in here about, you know, your seller says, let's start to show it before, you know, your coming soon time period is up. Can you change it to active? Yeah, you know, you can. And like Janet mentioned, you know, you do want to get a modification of terms. But that was kind of that situation I was talking about that just as a buyer's agent, you get kind of irritated because you have everything based around, oh, well, it's going to go live on this date, so I don't have to worry about it. And then all of a sudden, boom, there it is. And you can't get in because you missed seeing it go live by 3 hours. And now you're showing on day 3 of active showings because they're all booked up. So, you know, that's where it's just irritating. You know, technically, should there be a problem? no, not really. It's just, we just changed the date. We
Yeah,
changed.
it doesn't violate the rule in any way. You're allowed to bring it on earlier. But what I discovered, and maybe I have my save search and auto email set up wrong. I don't know. It's very possible. But I didn't get a notification that it went live because my criteria is coming soon and active. Well, it was already coming soon. Apparently, the change to active doesn't trigger another auto email. So I didn't see it. And of course, my client, because she does have her cell phone in her hand with checking Zillow every hour, found it.
Because that's how it works. That's how it works. And yeah, it's an interesting world out there right now. And I think it's really, it's technically all of these things are okay, but in practical application, it makes you mad. And you have a lot of explaining to do to your clients. And it's just, it's just irritating. Can you say you've really been harmed other than massively inconvenienced? I don't know about that. But Lori looks forward to hearing all of your thoughts so she can take this back to NAR with her.
Yeah, the more feedback we have, and I have no doubt we're going to hear similar feedback across the state, or at least across our MLS, with people experiencing the same things. But there's a lot of positive stories too. I know one broker told me early on when the rule came out and was live, he said, I had a seller who was going to put 10 grand into carpeting and flooring, and I put it coming soon, and somebody made an offer sight unseen, said, we know the floor plan, we've been looking in this area, don't even bother spending that money, we'll take it now. And that seller said, are you kidding? I don't have to be inconvenienced with putting this money out and dealing with the contractors. I think it was vacant, so it didn't matter in terms of their day-to-day living, but that seller felt that was a benefit. So there are some positives. I just have a hard time with, oops, we miscalculated the timing. I think it's more of a strategy in some cases to see what the interest level is at that price point, and maybe even intimidate some buyers that there's a ton of competition. So, bring your highest and best.
That's kind of how I take it. It's kind of like, okay, now you're going to have a stampede. You're going to have a gazillion people in there because everybody's been looking at it for 2 weeks. Yeah. And again,
4 days or 5 days.
Yeah, is it something wrong with that? Probably not. Is it really, does it just make the situation we're all in worse? Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what shakes out of NAR, and we have some other biggies on there. We'll go into detail next week on one of the ones that I think is going to be the biggest issue, and that's the pro standards change. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm going to leave you all in mystery. But let's see. So we're getting a little late, and there's one thing I want to cover. I'm sure probably the bulk of us that are voting have already voted. Did you vote early yet?
I did. I took my ballot to the post office on Wednesday or Thursday.
I went to the cute little pop-up voting center that they did at Laguna Niguel Regional Park because I just wanted to be sure it was a manned place that I could put my ballot in the drop box, because I'm weird that way. Remember, I'm the 6.5 to 7.5 on the COVID scale. So, but it was really cool to see that many people that are out there voting. The parking lot was full. There was lines. And I felt really bad because I saw these people standing there holding their ballot envelopes just like I had in my hand. And I'm like, maybe I should stand in line. And I thought about it and said, last time I stood in line with my ballot, that all I wanted to do was drop it off in the drop box. I could have just said, hi, I have a ballot and I want to drop it off. And, they took it instead of waiting in line. And I did that. And I just walked up to the guy and I'm like, hey, just want to drop this off. And he's like, let me show you where the drop box is. And so I put it in there. That all these people watched me and they're all, hey, wait, I need to do that.
Can't they put a sign? Like, I'm always thinking solutions. Like that's a 4x4 cardboard sign. Just plop it in the grass. Done.
Yeah,
If
you know,
you're
they
gonna
have,
jump off,
they have like the little sign that says vote 700 feet, you know, where you can purely see that there is something going on here, but they don't say, if you want to drop your ballot off, go there, you know. So it was kind of, you know, kind of cute, kind of funny. I'm happy that many people saw that's what I did, because, you know, they're watching me because I'm cutting in line, of course.
yeah.
And then they're like, wait a minute. So, but anyhow, I just thought that was kind of a little
And
funny
of course,
story.
the line looked much larger because everybody's social
Everybody's
distance.
6 feet
So
apart. Yeah, it was just really crazy. But you know, if you haven't voted yet, remember we have Prop 19 out there, and I ran into kind of an interesting situation online this week. There was a group, a political group that oh my gosh, we went black again. Oh, it probably heard politics.
that was down.
Let me see. Can you still see us? Can you still see us? Um, um, let's see. I think we're back off again, I think. Okay, we're gonna stop. We're gonna go back on so we can wrap this puppy up.